Israel says its offensive in Gaza has only begun, the latest on the conflict.
And in sports, the Ohio football train just keeps on chugging along. Newswatch starts right now. The deadline to register to vote is fast approaching. Good evening, I'm Ethan Sargent.
And I'm Reese Thompson. Welcome to Newswatch, your source for news impacting southeastern Ohio.
Eligible voters need to register by tomorrow if they want to vote in Ohio for this November's general election. The fall ballot will include votes on abortion and marijuana, which will have statewide impacts. To register online, you need an Ohio driver's license or Ohio identification card number, your name, date of birth, address, and the last 4 digits of your social security number. To register, go to ohiosos.gov and look under Elections and Voting. If you want some more insight on how to vote this November, the League of Women Voters is holding public forums. 2 forums will be tomorrow. One will be the Nelsonville City Council Forum at 7 p.m. at the Lodge at Hocking College, and the other will be the Federal Hocking School Board Forum, also at 7 p.m. at Federal Hocking High School. You can submit questions and see the full forum schedule online at athensleagueofwomenvoters.org.
6 counties in the Southeast Ohio region are receiving funding to improve water quality. The Ohio Water Development Authority awarded over $90 million to 10 projects to replace aging infrastructure. The 10 awarded projects received an interest rate ranging from nearly 2% to over 4%. The 6 counties in our area receiving funding include Ross, Morgan, Conshohocken, Columbiana, Licking, and Tuscarawas County. Perry County is unveiling their new Opportunity Center. The building houses many non-court related offices and will serve as a center for change in Perry County. With Perry County Job and Family Services, Carpenter David Hansen hopes the center will be welcoming to those seeking help from a government agency, as well as collaborations between the agencies housed in the building. It officially opened in September. Ohio University celebrated homecoming this past weekend, and it was so chilly. You are taking a live look of uptown Athens, where temperatures are dropping. Cold enough that the National Weather Service is issuing a frost advisory for Athens, Perry, Morgan, and Vinton County, starting tomorrow from 3 a.m. to 9 a.m. Emily, I had to layer up the past few days. How are you handling the cold? Because me, not too well.
Yeah, I actually really enjoy the cold weather. I love the feeling of fall, you know. It's shorts and sweatshirt season for me over here, but I'm just really enjoying it, especially with the leaves changing color. It's really feeling like fall, and I'm just really enjoying it.
I would love fall, but without the cold that comes with it. But how can we prepare for these colder temperatures?
For sure. Well, we actually have a frost advisory out. If we take a look at our frost advisory map, that's stretching a lot across central Ohio as well as southwest Ohio, and including here in Athens. So if you have any plants that are sensitive to those cold temperatures, to those frost-like conditions, you may want to bring them inside because things are going to get pretty chilly this evening. But for right now, we're seeing a temperature of about 61 outside with clear skies. We've seen a lot of off and on cloud coverage, largely due to this low pressure system that's now sitting up in Canada with that cold front associated with it. So what happened this weekend, we saw that big drop in temperatures since we had this cold front really sweeping through the area, producing a lot of that cloud coverage that we're seeing and even some of the rain as well. And those clouds are just sort of hanging out a little bit as well. But those cold temperatures are affecting all over Ohio. We have Athens around 62, Lancaster 57, as well as Zanesville. So we're really feeling those fall-like conditions that I know I'm really enjoying. But tonight it is going to be a cold one. We're expecting an overnight low of 35 with mostly clear skies. Be sure to stay tuned for my full forecast. We're going to look at these upcoming chilly conditions.
Thanks, Emily. I'll be sure to bundle up. And as the temperatures drop, the Ohio Department of Transportation is getting ready for winter. ODOT held their first readiness event, testing their equipment and demonstrating how they will respond in a winter storm. The goal is to have primary routes up to speed within 2 hours and secondary routes within 4 hours. Every year, this readiness event takes place to make sure winter doesn't catch anyone off guard. It's county fair time for those in the Lancaster area. The Fairfield County Fair runs through Saturday at the fairgrounds in Lancaster. It'll feature a music act by 7 Mile Bluegrass tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. at the main grandstand. In addition to music, there will be a rodeo tonight at 7 p.m. and the Demolition Derby at 7:30 p.m. on Friday and Saturday.
New property values for Athens County are now available online for property owners. The values have been adjusted based on sale ratio studies from the previous 3 years. While residential and agriculture parcels had the largest percentage increases, many parcels did not see any adjustment. The reappraisal can be seen on the auditor's new website, athenscountyauditor.com. With those increases, you can see it's a tough time for potential home buyers. Right now, the average U.S. mortgage rate is nearly 7.5%, which is the highest level we've seen in 23 years. Mike Valerio has details on what home buyers can do to get their best rate from lenders.
Americans are feeling the impact of inflation in most areas of their lives, but getting a high mortgage rate now can make a big dent on your bank account for decades. The average U.S. mortgage rate is 7.49%, the highest level in 23 years.
You're not going to get 4%, but you can make sure that you're getting the best rate that's out there.
Greg McBride with Bankrate.com says there are a few things you can do to show lenders you're a low risk.
Make sure your credit report is accurate and do everything you can to increase your credit score there. That means pulling copies of your credit reports and getting incorrect information removed from that report.
He says it's good to shop around.
Ideally, you want to compare quotes and you want to put in an application with as many as 3 different lenders and do so as close to the same period of time as possible. You want to do all those on the same day. That way you get a real apples to apples comparison, not just on the rate that's available, but also the fees that the lender is charging.
After doing your research, if the numbers still don't work for you, you may want to hit the pause button on purchasing a new home.
Another couple of years of paying down debt, boosting savings, maybe another promotion at work that boosts your income could put you in a position where home ownership is much more tenable a year or two from now than it is today.
In Los Angeles, I'm Mike Valerio reporting.
Coming up after the break, pharmacists across the country go on strike. And hundreds are dead. Thousands are injured as Israel retaliates against Hamas.
Things are getting pretty cold tonight. We have a frost advisory issued. Stay tuned for Newswatch to find out how this will impact you.
Join us for a special evening of music as we present Japanese composer and artist Yoshiki live at Carnegie Hall with the Tokyo Philharmonic Orchestra, composer, classically trained pianist, and founder of the chart-topping rock group X Japan. Yoshiki goes classical in his Carnegie Hall debut as he performs for a sold-out audience. Yoshiki live at Carnegie Hall.
Friday at 10 on WOUB.
This is for you.
You got grit, I can tell you're never gonna quit. No, not even for a split second. Counting all your blessings. You got personality like Christmas got his presents, and I like it. Yeah.
I always want to create something that's gonna mean something.
That's fabulous. And I like it. Yeah.
Dare me to do something.
Don't stop, honey, gotta do your thing. I like it. Don't stop, honey, gotta do your thing.
I really want to show the world how beautiful our culture is.
There was more similarities than differences.
It makes us happy. It makes us feel good.
Yeah. So spread those golden wings. We're gonna shine like the stars. Got the
It is part of our unique story. All of us together.
This is our special time.
I like it.
Salute, babe.
Honey, gotta do your thing.
We're going intergalactic.
Don't stop, honey.
We're going to make memories.
I like it.
I just said, hey, I want to do what I've been doing in my life and record it.
We were always those creative minds that were just in the moment.
It all finds its way into his music.
Who he is as a person is what allows him to be where he is as a musician.
And I felt like Black radio was the truth.
Friday at 9 on WOUB.
Employees at 2 of the country's largest drugstore chains are demanding change. Some Walgreens employees are staging a series of walkouts next week. This comes after pharmacy employees walked off at multiple CVS stores last week. The Walgreens employees say harsh working conditions make it difficult to safely fill prescriptions, and they believe this could put customers at risk. They say expectations are often based off unrealistic staffing numbers. Walgreens has acknowledged employees are overworked, but the walkouts are still on schedule. Meanwhile, the United Auto Workers are adding Mack trucks to their strike list as they reject a tentative agreement with the manufacturing company. 73% of union auto workers voted against the proposed deal from last week. The union's president, Shawn Fain, says he's inspired to see members hold out for a better deal. Many of union's demands for Max are similar to demands made with General Motors, Ford, and Stellantis, which include improved wages and pension benefits. UAW leadership remains optimistic about the outcome of these strikes, with some key demands being met with the first 3 weeks of UAW strikes. This success partially comes from the price of these 3 automakers, with this strike becoming the costliest U.S. auto strike in a century. Economic losses have exceeded $5.5 billion, according to an analysis by AEG. The previous record was held by the 2019 UAW strike, which cost $4 billion. It's estimated the economic impact of the strike will grow as the strike expands.
The GOP is racing to find a new House Speaker after Kevin McCarthy's historic removal last week. House Majority Leader Steve Scalise of Louisiana and Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan are the 2 candidates vying to replace McCarthy. They're set to make their pitches to fellow Republicans at a closed party conference discussion today, followed by a candidate forum tomorrow and an internal election Wednesday. It's not clear when the full House floor vote will happen. Democrats want it to happen soon.
Hope that our Republican colleagues get their act together, can settle on a speaker who can receive 217 votes, and that we can move forward to get the business of the American people done.
The most influential Republican Party member not voting has already made his preference clear. Former President Donald Trump, he's endorsing Jordan. The need to elect a new speaker is growing even more urgent as the U.S. works to come to the aid of Israel amid attacks by Hamas. At least 9 Americans are dead as fighting between Israel and Hamas militants escalates. This in response to a deadly attack by Hamas on civilian targets in several Israeli cities over the weekend.
Horrifying images show gunmen kidnapping Israelites, including women and children, and taking them hostage. Laura Aguirre has more. And we must warn you, the following story contains graphic imagery. Viewer discretion is advised.
This Gaza refugee camp is one of many retaliatory targets hit by Israeli forces Monday. The IDF says it has hit around 800 Hamas-related sites, and the strikes continue.
We will change reality on the ground in Gaza for the next 50 years. What was before will be no more.
Israeli strikes also landing in neighboring Lebanon, where the IDF claims gunmen are crossing the border into Israel. Israel's actions follow a surprise and unprecedented Hamas attack on Jewish targets Saturday, including a music festival where at least 260 people were gunned down. Many other civilians, including Americans, have been taken hostage by Hamas.
Thank you. All the institutions of the world that help kidnap civilians.
The death toll far into the hundreds on both sides and climbing. In the U.S., protesters in several cities are trading blame for the eruption of violence.
Many of us have been saying that the Palestinians are going to rise up. They're not going to, and you cannot expect them to sit on their hands.
The fact that we're still even arguing Jewish existence in 2023 is pretty shocking to me.
I pray for, civilians on both sides, civilian casualties. I mean, their lives are valued just as much.
Reporting for Newswatch, I'm Laura Aguirre.
Americans are feeling the effects of the violence in Israel at the pump.
Prices are jumping up 4.3% for the day. U.S. oil settled above $86 per barrel. That price is still off from recent highs, though, as oil prices fell significantly last week. Now, the fear is oil-producing nations like Saudi Arabia and Iran getting drawn into the conflict. Goldman Sachs estimates oil prices could exceed $100 per barrel if Saudi Arabia refuses to boost production next year.
Good evening. We've had some cold weather recently, and today is no different. Right now we're seeing it's about 61 outside with some clear skies. We've had a lot of off and on cloud coverage over the past couple of days, and that's really starting up from this up here in Canada just above the Great Lakes due to some low pressure that we saw moving across the area this past weekend with that cold front affiliated really just sweeping across the eastern part of the United States, producing some clouds as it bumped right up against that warm air. Now you may notice a little bit of a system just below Ohio. That's not really going to affect us these next couple of days. That's really going to stay to the south. Instead, we're going to be seeing a lot of this more clear weather that's sitting in the Great Plains Midwest area over the next couple of days. And that's really going to help keep these temperatures sort of where they're at right along the Midwest and upper Great Plains. A lot of those 50s, 60s, even some pokes of 70s. But unfortunately for us, we won't really be seeing any of those warm light conditions until really later this week, and unfortunately that'll just be one day, so we are really settling in to these fall light conditions. Now tonight we'll be seeing an overnight low of 35 with mostly clear skies, so if you have any plants that are very sensitive to very cold conditions, we have a frost advisory out for central Ohio down into western Ohio and poking into Athens just a little bit, so make sure your plants, if they are outside, that they are insulated or bring them inside for the next day or so, because we're going to continue to see some pretty chilly weather going on. Tomorrow we'll have a very similar day to today with a high of 64 and another low of 35 with again mostly sunny skies, so that cloud coverage will start to clear away as that low pressure continues to move over towards the east, and we'll actually start taking a look at what's going on down south. We've got a bit of a high pressure system beginning to develop, and that's going to come sweeping up into Ohio on Wednesday, really clearing out some skies and creating this sort of blocking for a lot of these clouds that we're anticipating in the area. So up north we see a little bit of rain, a little bit of cloud coverage still from that low pressure system, and that's just going to stay right up there. And you may notice a little something starting to happen over to the west, a little bit of rain right associated with this warm front. So with that warm front, we actually have a low pressure system, and that's going to produce a lot of warm air right behind that. And while that's not going to be hitting us anytime soon, that's going to be hitting us later this week. So as we look into Wednesday, we're going to see another chillier day, high of 68 with another overnight low of 46. So while there may not be a frost advisory out, you still are going to want to get those plants inside. And looking at Thursday, that's when we're going to see that warm front move through with partly sunny skies. It's going to be 76, so feeling a little on the warmer side of fall. And by Friday, that warm front's going to start to leave us, and we're actually going to start to see the entrance of that cold front. So that cold air is going to bump right up against that warm air, creating a lot of that rain that we are anticipating this weekend and colder weather.
Thanks, Emily. The colder conditions outside are a sure sign winter is coming, and with that, the return of highly contagious respiratory viruses. But there are things you can do to help prevent infection. Mandy Gaither has more with a doctor on how to not get sick this virus season.
Across much of the U.S., illnesses are starting to tick up.
This is a season where respiratory viruses typically occur.
Overall, COVID-19 levels are currently dipping, but it remains a concern, causing nearly all virus-related hospitalizations since the start of the year, according to the CDC. Some major cities, including New York and Washington, D.C., are already starting to see high levels of healthcare visits for respiratory virus symptoms. Georgia and New Mexico are also seeing moderate levels. But you can protect yourself, and that starts with practicing healthy habits, says Dr. Jesse Bracamonte with Mayo Clinic.
Make sure you're getting plenty of rest. You're eating healthy, you exercise, you're taking care of yourself.
This season, there are also vaccines to prevent against 3 major respiratory illnesses: flu, RSV, and COVID-19.
These are effective for helping prevent severe threatening infection of these viruses, so consider that.
Bracamonte says if you're sick, stay home. That'll help stop the spread and protect those who are vulnerable to severe illness.
It's not worth going for your social event or work when you can stay at home and hopefully prevent your colleagues or family members and friends from getting sick.
And finally, don't forget to wash those hands. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Coming up in sports, we had a busy homecoming weekend here at Ohio University. Football, field hockey, soccer. I get you caught up with all you need to know on the other side of this break.
don't understand why you've come back.
To make us a fortune.
Welcome!
Mommy, this is Victor.
My fiancé. Oh. He's got himself embroiled with a gangster.
I have to follow my heart. I can't go back to how it was before.
Stay away from my wife.
How can I trust you?
I could ask you the same thing.
Sunday at 8 on WOUB.
I set off alone to a place far away from everything I'd ever known.
Welcome.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Thank you for the invitation.
Everyone wants us to be textbook, but it's not.
I really think we should be friends.
On Masterpiece.
Welcome to the British Indian Army.
Welcome to hell, sir.
I have no choice but to fight for my country.
Your enemy now looks like your friend.
How do you know who to trust? What if I were to recruit you to work for me?
To do what?
To fight, of course.
There will be casualties as a result of the decisions you make. Come on!
World on Fire on Masterpiece. Sunday at 9 on WOUB.
WOUB is recognizing members of our Cornerstone Society. The Cornerstone Society is a group that wants to ensure the future of public media in our region. It includes people across our area who value news, entertainment, and cultural programming, as well as the educational services WOUB provides. Also included are graduates of Ohio University who took part in the WOUB Student Professional Development Program. Thanks to the Cornerstone Society for their generous support. To learn how you can be involved, email woub@woub.org.
Good evening, everyone. I am Darius Sethna with the latest in sports. Buckle up because we've got a lot to recap from homecoming weekend in Athens. Starting on the gridiron, third-year receiver Miles Cross had a spectacular performance in Saturday's 42-17 victory over Kent State with 2 touchdowns and 125 receiving yards. His special day gave him the honors for the MAC Offensive Player of the Week, but Cross credits his elite play from the efforts of those around him.
You know, the offensive line doing their job up front, Curtis giving me the proper balls, and running backs blocking and receivers running routes, you know, so in order for me to get open and make plays. I just think everybody had a very good day that allowed me to have a special day as well.
Ohio football extends their win streak to a handful as they picked up their victory number 5 in Saturday's homecoming game, and quarterback Curtis Rourke threw for a season-high 300 yards and 3 touchdown passes. Bobcats' aerial attack was just a piece to the puzzle as redshirt sophomore C.A. Bangura grounded and pounded his way to 2 additional rushing scores. Head coach Tim Albin stamped his seal of approval, but also knows there's more work ahead.
I thought all 3 phases we got better. We are not a finished product yet, but we took a step today. And to back on the Frank in front of our fans, and it's, I mean, homecoming, there's not a better place in the country than here. And to get the win, I'm happy for all those people.
The Ohio soccer team traveled to Kalamazoo for a conference showdown with Western Michigan yesterday. Shea Robertson and the Bobcats looked to end their 2-game skid on the road this past Sunday against a Bronco team that defeated Akron by 2 goals last week. Robertson's 56-minute goal looked like it would seal the deal for Ohio, but Western Michigan's Jenna Blackburn slotted in the equalizer with just under 6 minutes to go. The 1-1 stalemate is Ohio's 3rd of the year. The Bobcats now own a record of 4 wins, 6 losses, and 3 draws. Head coach Allie Johnstone and the Ohio field hockey team also had a rough homecoming weekend after dropping 2 consecutive games at Pruitt Field, including a 2-1 defeat from Wake Forest yesterday. Bobcats fell behind by 2 goals early in the second half before a goal by Caitlin Whittle sparked a rally. Ohio had 12 total shots in the second half but couldn't get even. Despite the defeat, Coach Johnstone applauded her team's ability to make adjustments, even in the heart of adversity.
Talked about taking more control and ownership of our passes. We just said you need to have a purpose with your pass. Like every pass has to have a purpose, and you better pick it up and make the pass and find the teammate and put it on target.
That's all for sports. I'm Darius Sethna. Back over to you, Ethan.
Thanks, Darius. Appreciate it here in Bobcat Athletics. After the break, what's this year's must-have Halloween candy? But first, here's what's coming up tonight on your public television station.
Elon Musk has one rule: never be constrained by the rules.
He considers that internet world a battleground where anything is fair game.
I thought he'd be a good owner. I thought he could get stuff done.
Since Musk took over, what would you say your main findings have been?
Number one, I would say harassment has increased.
I really can't emphasize this enough. We must protect free speech.
Define free speech. Where are the limits? And what are the trade-offs?
Tuesday at 9 on WOUB.
I have memories of my real family.
Give me my daughter!
I'm going to look for them. I think I might be from here. What do you remember?
The government was taking Indian kids. You can't just pretend that nothing happened. It was wrong! Can you tell me the truth?
Often referred to in the history books in the past tense. But here we are in the present, and we're going full force.
Native women are strong and resilient.
My people in the Buffalo have a shared history.
She's a warrior.
It's about representing ourselves in the way we see ourselves.
We're scientists, we're engineers, we're doctors. We're doing things to make a difference in this world.
You know, they say it takes a village to raise a child. And I don't know that that can be any more true than for parents of special needs children.
We are not targeting this population. We're not screening them appropriately.
It's very lonely. Very lonely.
There is no burden of a child. It is the burden of our society failing these families.
Thursday at 10 on WOUB.
Finally tonight, from candy corn to Kit Kats, the most coveted treats might be tricks depending on the state. CandyStore.com released data based on its bulk candy sales to determine the favorite Halloween sweets in each state and the country. Reese's Cups took the #1 spot across the nation. M&M's and Hot Tamales earned spots 2 and 3. Here in Ohio, the top candy is Blow Pops, and in West Virginia, it's Hershey's Mini Bars. The National Retail Federation says Halloween candy spending this year is expected to reach $3.6 billion. You got a candy named after you at #1. What's your favorite candy?
Well, it would be wrong if it wasn't Reese's Cups, and it actually is Reese's Cups, and it always will be.
What about you, Darius?
I think I just got to go for the classic Snickers bar.
That's a great call. I'm a big M&M's guy myself. I love that short, sweet moment bit. You got the weather, but what about like your favorite trick-or-treating candy as well?
Gotta say Twix. I'm actually not a big fan of Reese's,
but
Twix
bar. Up for trick-or-treating?
Oh, for sure, yeah. And tonight's actually feeling like a trick-or-treat night. You know, it's an overnight low of 35, so really feeling like Halloween, mostly clear skies. So if we were trick-or-treating tonight, it'd be a good but chilly night. And unfortunately, we are still a couple weeks away. We actually tonight have a frost advisory from about 4 a.m. to 9 a.m. This upcoming tomorrow morning. So if you have any plants that are sensitive outside, you may want to bring them inside or make sure they are well insulated. Tomorrow we are expecting another high of 64, so another chillier day. Make sure to keep your jackets out with another overnight low in the 30s, so another chilly night tomorrow night. And Wednesday, we're going to see some high pressure continue to stay over Ohio, keeping skies relatively clear, but we're also seeing a little bit of development out to the west, and that's going to warm us up a little bit this Friday. But then right behind that warm front, we're going to see a cold front come through, and that's going to bump right into that warm weather, creating a rainy weekend ahead.
And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. For Emily Dietz and Darius Sethna, I'm Reese Thompson.
And I'm Ethan Sargent. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime at WOUB.org or follow us on social media. Have a great night.
The Cartober fundraising drive is on. Help give back this month by donating your used car, truck, RV, or boat to our station. Donating is easy.